Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me today for an episode of Financial First Aid. Today, I have the honor and privilege of having Cathy Derksen, the founder of Inspired Tenacity. Cathy is a four-time Amazon #1 best-selling author, coach, and mentor whose career is dedicated to helping women tap into their own greatness. She believes that we owe it to ourselves and each other to create lives that fill us with genuine joy. Her deep commitment to serving others has led her to become a certified financial planner, Proctor Gallagher consultant, and Jack Canfield Success Principles trainer. With her unique combination of intuition and world-class training, Cathy has helped hundreds of women transform their lives. Her knack for distilling complex concepts into practical lessons paves the way for clients to shift deeply rooted beliefs about success and money, identify what's holding them back internally and externally, and connect with their true purpose. Inspired Tenacity was born from Cathy's desire to make these life-changing tools and strategies accessible to women everywhere. Whether you're facing major personal milestones, leveling up your finances, or exploring a new career, these programs are designed to teach you how to navigate big shifts with confidence. Find the courage, take the leaf, bring life to your life. Wow, that's a neat little slogan you have there. Bring life to your life. Thank you and welcome to my podcast, Financial First Aid. So, Cathy, what is the primary focus of your business, of your company?
Well, thanks for having me, Vera. It's great to be here. I
Great.
love the title of your talk with the financial first aid. In my mind, that money's intertwined with everything that we do, and so in my past career, I had been a financial planner for quite a while. And my new company, basically, I've taken it to use those skills as a financial planner, but also incorporate the mindset tools and other kinds of more inspirational tools that help us to really dig into what will help us to reach our goals and find success, whatever success means to us. So, so the main focus right now in my business is helping women that are in a position in life where they feel like they're banging their head against the wall, like they know that they're in the wrong place. They should be doing something else, but they're not sure what or how. Or so whether it's a career change, a relationship change, looking towards retirement, all those kind of big times in life when you know there's something else, but you're not quite sure how to get there. So that's the main focus of my business right now, is to help those women to clarify, what are those goals? What were those things that you really wanted to do with your life? And how do we incorporate them back in? And like you said, yes, bring life to your life.
Yeah, I like that. Um, and so kind of what motivated you to begin your journey of entrepreneurship?
Well, I had been working in the corporate world for quite a while. And again, when I first went into financial planning, my whole goal was to help women change their life. At that time, I was going through divorce. A lot of my friends were going through divorces. And
Right.
I just could see that there were so many women that just didn't have the tools and the knowledge to make good financial choices. And so that's why I went into financial planning. But after 10 years of doing that, I just recognized that I wasn't having the impact. I
Hmm.
didn't have the freedom to really address the issues I wanted to address. So that's where I made that big choice to leave my corporate job, go off on my own into my own business where I could really fine tune the angles that I came from and the exercises and programs that I could bring to people to help in what I see as a much bigger way and in a way that really does change people's lives.
So, when you were working in the corporate world, you were a financial planner, but you kind of had to play to according to the rules that the corporation had you playing toward. Okay.
Exactly. And it became a lot more about babysitting accounts and pushing products and just, walking that corporate walk.
Okay. Okay. And what did you do prior to becoming a financial planner? Because you said you only did that for about 10 years.
Yes, yes. Before that, I actually had a very different life. I've been a biologist my whole life. I like to say ever since the age of 3, I figure I always came home with pockets full of worms and had a whole zoo in my room pretty much my whole life. So I've always been a biologist. And my early education was actually in biology and genetics. And I spent 25 years working mainly in hospital labs and public education. And that's when genetics was evolving into genomics, and it was a huge growing field. And I do still love the field of genetics and genomics, but the job I was in at that time was a very toxic situation. And
Mhm.
that was when I was in the middle of, I was going through a divorce. I was really at a point in my life where I had to make some big decisions.
Mhm.
And at that time, asking myself, can I see myself doing this job for another 20 years?
Okay.
And my guts just told me no.
Okay.
And that's when I really started that investigation about, okay, what's next?
Okay.
And that's where the financial planning became my next step.
Okay. And so from financial planning, you went into doing your own business. And let's speak to that
Yes.
for a minute, because so many people that are considering being an entrepreneur or
Yeah.
already are entrepreneurs have some difficulty with that kind of a decision. What was the thing that told you that now is the time for me to do this, my own thing, my own business?
Well, I think that's my description of that feeling that you're banging your head against the wall. It seems weird, like it's a strange kind of a rough way of saying it, but really that was the just what kept coming into my head over and over again for the last few months that I was in my job. That I literally just felt like that I was banging my head against the wall, that I knew that this is wrong. I
Uh-huh.
knew I had to get out of there. I knew that there was more that I should be doing,
Uh-huh.
and that I had a bigger message I needed to get out there. So
Right.
it was almost like, I don't know, like a caterpillar stuck in its little cocoon, and it knows it needs to get out. Right?
Right, right. And so really both times that you transitioned to something new, it was from a feeling of I don't really belong here. I need to be going somewhere else.
Or somewhere else, or just that there's something more. It's almost been like an evolution of my work in genetics was mainly in hospital labs, so it was very, you didn't see people, you just sort of processed samples and information, and but it wasn't a people role. And I really realized at that point I need a people job, a job that
Mhm.
really had me in direct contact with people, feeling I was actually having an impact in a positive way on the people around me. So that was a big part of it then. So it really has been an evolution of feeling where I'm drawn to, and then what are those parts that I need to bring into my life to create that. So
Mhm.
now I feel like I'm finally that butterfly that's just taken off out of that cocoon and doing my thing and
That's
flying
good.
around the world.
That's a good thing. And what motivated you to keep moving forward when, there were times I'm sure you ran into obstacles and
Oh,
even
yes.
questioned yourself, whether or not like should I be doing this? So Little Miss Butterfly that came out of the cocoon, what was the thing that said, "Oh man, I can't go back. I've got to keep moving forward." What kind of motivated you to keep moving forward?
Yes, there's in my most recent shift, so into my own business, I've definitely gone through a few of those feelings. But those ones right now, or in the last little while, it's been more around the like tackling technology and all those sorts of things about doing business that just are not what I came here for, but things that have to get done.
Uh-huh.
So those have been where my biggest frustrations have been right now. Back when I first made that shift from medical genetics into financial planning, at that point, I was also in the middle of a divorce and a lot of other big things going on in my life.
Uh-huh.
And in the first book that I was involved in, I really focused on that story in my chapter there. And I actually had a little motto or line that would literally go through my head at those times when you really just have to keep moving. And it was chin up, keep moving.
Okay.
And I know it sounds strange, but I would literally sometimes say it to myself or just think it, or like sometimes out loud, just chin up, keep moving. Like you can't stop now, get
Right.
going.
That's right. No, and that's great because, so many times people do kind of get discouraged, especially when they're an entrepreneur. And
Yes.
if that's what worked for you, then that's great.
Yeah.
moving forward, you know?
And that's where my company name actually came from. So
Okay.
Inspired Tenacity, because in
Hmm.
my mind, that's what we need to make those big jumps. We
Right.
need that inspiration of what we're going to do, but we need that tenacity to
Right.
just keep at it. So
Hmm.
that is literally the name I've wrapped myself around.
That's great. So your book is called Inspired Tenacity as well? No? What's the name of
Well,
it?
I've actually got a series, I've got 4 books out so far.
Hmm.
So they were collaborative books. So I did a chapter in each.
Okay.
So the first one was actually Reinvent Your Life Through Resilience and Tenacity.
Great. And
And
then the
so,
second, give me all of them.
oh man, I'm going to remember all those. I'll have to go back and pull them all up. I can't even remember exactly.
That's okay.
I can send
We
you the link.
yeah, that'll work, and that'll be something that we'll be sure to put in, at the end, so that people can reach out to you. That'll be great.
Yeah.
But the name of your company right now is called what?
Inspired Tenacity.
Inspired Tenacity. Okay, great. Um, and so what kind of information or advice would you give someone who is kind of just starting out and not really sure of what it is they want to do? How would you kind of give them some information, advice, and say, hey, okay, this is perhaps the best way for you to move forward, or for you to kind of decide what you want to do, because you made a couple of transitions, so you kind of know.
I've always been a believer in intuition and listening to your gut.
Good.
And so when I've made my big moves, so much of that has been around the really inner thinking about what do I need to do next? What does that need to look like? But I think a really big piece of advice would be to actually allow yourself to think bigger,
Hmm.
allow yourself to think outside of your usual.
Okay.
And because that's where your next step lies. So
Mhm.
if you just do something that's similar to what you're doing now, then often you'll end up getting the same results you're getting now. Whereas having the courage and the tenacity to pick something bigger that really is scary, and but that gives you that feeling of, yes, this is the direction I need to go.
Mhm.
Again, listen to your guts, listen to what's going on inside yourself when you think about, is that the right move, yes or no? And quite often your body knows, even if your brain doesn't. Or
Yeah,
at least the
it's
part of your brain you're listening to.
yeah, it's kind of like follow your heart and follow your
Yeah,
intuition, and that will
exactly.
lead you in the right direction of where you want to go.
But
That's
really think
great.
big.
Think big. Okay. So that is I know you're a kind of a promoter of mindset. What would be the mindset that you think an entrepreneur needs to have, especially right now in this time of we're just kind of moving out of the era of COVID and the whole pandemic? What would be a good mindset that they should have that really can keep them on the right track?
I think one of the most important mindsets we need to establish and maintain is around adapting and evolving. And again, especially when we look at what's going on in the world in the last couple of years, that the people that have been willing to look at opportunities, again, think big, think outside of what's right in front of you, and be willing to learn
Hmm.
and to unlearn what you learned before and relearn something else,
True.
but adapt and evolve, and don't be afraid of where things are going, but pull up the courage to go in a direction that feels right to you.
Hmm.
Because I think right now, especially, what we will see, I'm going to go back to evolution. We used to say it was the survival of the fittest. Well,
Right.
it's really not the fittest, it's those that can adapt.
Hmm.
So survival of those that can adapt. So
That's
that to me would be the biggest advice right now.
I
Look for
love
the opportunities and adapt.
I love that. That's great. I really do. I think that's a great mindset to have. And so if you had, an opportunity, of course, hindsight is 2020 vision, but if there was anything like that you learned previously that you know now that you didn't know then, what would you have done differently? maybe there wasn't, maybe there isn't anything you would do differently, but
Well, I think, if we're thinking specifically about this whole going the entrepreneurial journey part of it, I
hmm
think the part I would do differently when I left my corporate job and was going into getting going with my business, I thought that I had everything set and that things I would just get going. But I've really realized that there's so many, again, that technical side of things, all those different systems that you need to have in place. And whether it's, being familiar with Zoom, whether it's getting familiar with using the different calendars or the other ways that integrate different systems on the computer, that was the part that really held me up for a little while, was just feeling overwhelmed by all
hmm
those things I needed to learn just to get going, because I wasn't
hmm
doing the things I came here to do. I was just learning all this technical stuff. So I think that was one thing that I would kind of learn some of that before I jumped in, so that I
Okay.
knew, okay, now I'm ready. I've got all these systems in place. Just go. So
Okay.
for me,
Okay.
that was a big part.
Okay, that's good advice. Learn some things before you jump to do something else. I get you. Okay.
Or get a good coach that knows those things that will have your back as you walk through them.
Okay. Okay. That's good advice as well. Find yourself a coach. That certainly will help you to
Yep.
avoid some mistakes that you may have made, as well as save you some time from kind of trial and error. Okay. That's real good information. A
Definitely,
mentor or a
definitely.
coach. Okay. Yeah, sounds good.
Yes.
Um, and so what do you think people can do right now? With your financial planning background, what do you think that might be some really good things that they can do to kind of solidify them financially? Because, the podcast is directed at people who are entrepreneurs, people that are entrepreneurs that have been involved in bankruptcy and they're coming out of it. And, what can they
Right.
do to what would they focus on in terms of financial planning to make sure that they don't fall back into that trap?
Right. And going back to the whole mindset side of things,
hmm
we don't generally give enough credit to that part of our financial success.
hmm
And even when I was working in financial planning, I found that was actually what was tripping most people up from reaching any kind of financial success, was the voices in their head or the messages they had been brought up with. So
hmm
things like, I'm always broke, I'm always struggling, there's never enough money
hmm
doesn't grow on trees, all those things where it's really in our minds that,
hmm
or I only have enough to scrape by, I'm barely paying the bills. Just those messages that we keep telling ourselves over and over again, we're really creating the reality that
Okay.
we're living.
Right.
And so I would recommend that people go through an exercise in really recognizing what their messages are around money,
Okay.
because there are the people that believe that no matter what happens, they'll figure it out and they'll be fine. And generally they do. But then there's those that, like I was saying, always think that they're going to be broke and think they can never get out of debt. And so they don't.
Right.
So that would be an exercise. And again, it's one of those things that as a financial planner in a corporate setting, I could never go in that direction with a conversation because that wasn't an official thing that we say.
Right.
But really, that is the part that really stops people from changing, like really making serious changes in their financial situation, is their own limiting beliefs around their ability to succeed with money.
Wow. Okay, great. Yeah, and I could see that, um, if you're at, Bank of America or whatever, big company that does financial planning, if you're sitting down with your client and you're telling them, hey, you know what? You need a mindset shift.
I'll help you with your mutual funds, but really you should go work on this.
Right, right, right.
That's
And
not part of the conversation.
yeah, yeah, right. And so now that's, being your own, having your own business, that has allowed you to do that.
Exactly,
Right,
exactly.
right. And do you see, do you see that difference now that you can come, to people and say, hey, listen, perhaps you should have a mindset shift. Have you seen that impact them in a really positive way, much more so than when you were doing that in the
Oh
corporate?
yeah, no, it's amazing. It's amazing the change. And I
Mhm,
mean, a very good example is if we think about people that win the lottery. We assume, I mean, I like to think if I won $10 million, I'd be set for life and I'd live happily ever after.
Absolutely.
Whereas the reality is the vast majority of people that win a big chunk of money end up broker and worse off than they were before within 3 years of winning that money.
Right.
And we wonder, how can you win millions of dollars and then end up broke in 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that is a really good example that they brought themselves back to where they were before,
And
even
it's
though they've been handed this, this whole chunk of cash. They
mm-hmm.
took themselves back to where they were
Mm-hmm. That's the
or
mindset
worse.
shift that you're talking about.
Exactly. Whereas I've seen people that were broke and were struggling and were able to switch some of those messages in their mind around their own limitations
Right.
and switch that to I can be successful, I can be rich, even, I mean, again, wealthy, rich, those words mean different things to different people.
Right.
But to create a level of financial stability that you're comfortable with and that you want, you can actually create whatever you want. But you have to shift that mindset and telling yourself that you can or
Okay.
you won't.
Okay. And your books, the series of books that you have, they all explore that same kind of theme and theory. It's about
Most of them are, that gets worked in a bit. A lot of them are personal stories of my own journeys, again, through the transitions in my life and through my career changes and those sorts of things. And so not as much about the actual money process.
Mhm.
That's more where my programs go into that direction. So
Okay.
I guess that should be my next book, right?
And what do you offer in your programs?
Well, right now I've got 3 programs that are in place. And so one is kind of just an intro that's about a month long. We meet on Zoom every week. And then the next level up is a 12-week program and then a 6-month program. And so in all 3 of those programs, we look at really discovering, again, what are those things that excite you? What are those things that would like really light up your life? And how do you incorporate those in your life?
Mhm.
And then we actually start incorporating. I don't believe in reinventing the wheel. So through my training with Bob Proctor's program and Jack Canfield and some other big thought leaders, I'm incorporating the lessons that I've become certified in from them as well.
Oh
So
wow.
we're using some of their programs to really focus on success principles, how our thoughts can create our results.
Mhm.
So those programs are incorporated into the bigger programs.
Mhm.
So it really does take you through that process, right from, again, going from that person banging their head against the wall, I need to get out of here. Where do you need to go? How do you need to get there? Let's do it. So
Wow.
it's very exciting. I've really had some great results with people, and it becomes a community as well. So we start with kind of a one-on-one to really do that discovery process, and then we move into group sessions where you can really help. I find people get a lot more out of group sessions because then they're really feeding off each other's
Mhm.
growth
Right.
and different questions and discussions. You get a lot more discussions going on that bring out ideas and just bring out different ways of looking at things that maybe you haven't thought about before. So yes, I've got the 3 different programs on right now. So the small, medium, large, I guess you can look at it. It's
I love it. I
something for
love it.
everyone.
Uh-huh. And so I usually like to kind of end my program on asking 3 things of my guests. My podcast is meant to educate, motivate, and inspire entrepreneurs. So if you could give me one for each thing, what would you tell my listeners to educate them?
Well, the first educate would be definitely around mindset
Okay.
and the impact that that has. Like we were saying, that's again, when you think about your finances, in most cases, that's the last thing that anybody thinks about. But really, it's the first thing you should think about.
Okay. Okay. Great. And then in terms of and also I think in terms of educate, you also said earlier to learn about different systems uh, prior to them kind of jumping into
For the actual business systems,
Mhm.
yes, yes.
Okay. Okay.
That's
Great.
definitely a big educate one, yes.
Okay. And then how about motivate?
For motivate, I would suggest that you really Allow yourself to look at your brilliance. We
Wow.
all have something that we're really great at
Mm-hmm.
that quite often we minimize its value because we do it so easily and so well. To us, it's just second nature. So we don't give it the value that
Okay.
other people probably do.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my motivating kind of thing. Just allow yourself, give yourself credit for what your brilliances are.
Okay, that sounds great. And then in terms of inspire.
Well, I think I would remind everybody as an kind of an inspirational idea to look at the world as full of opportunities. So,
Great.
so if you switch that, I mean, right now, so many of us have gotten there's so much negative stuff in the news and all these things going, oh, now this is happening, now that's happening, oh no, oh no. But don't let yourself focus on those, focus on the opportunities.
Great.
That the world is full of opportunities and there's plenty for all of us.
I love that. That's beautiful. I really do. So, yeah, thanks for giving that to my audience. Educate, motivate, and inspire. And then I just wanted to, ask you how you can have my listeners get in touch with you.
Well, my website is pretty simple. So it's just inspiredtenacity.com.
Mm-hmm.
And on there, there's several different ways to either book a call with me, send me an email, look up my programs. So that's one of the simplest way to get a lot of information.
Okay.
LinkedIn is where I'm generally at most
Mm-hmm.
frequently. So if you connect with me through LinkedIn,
Okay.
that is good as well. Although right now, for some reason, they've locked me out. So I've got to figure that out. Another of these technical glitches that we have to figure out as entrepreneurs. Why did LinkedIn kick me out?
Okay.
Too busy.
Yeah, that's kind of
So,
weird. Okay.
so those are the two best ways is through my website and through LinkedIn.
Okay, great. And it's Cathy Derksen. That's Derksen.
Yes.
I just want to make sure that people don't get confused and think it's spelled some other kind of way. But
Yes. Yes.
thank
It
you
is a
so
name that is spelt many ways.
Yes. Thank you so much for your time, your energy. I think your intuitive kind of thought process to help people that are entrepreneurs move forward in their entrepreneurial journey. I think that's a great, you've given us some great nuggets. So hopefully I'll get a chance to talk to you again. And thank you again
Sure.
for being on the show. And I want all my listeners to reach out to you, to your different things, your books and your different courses so that they can move forward with their entrepreneurial journey.
And I do have an ebook
Okay.
that's a digital download that
Mhm.
I could send you that link and you can put that out to your community as well.
Okay, great. I'd appreciate that very much. Thank you,
All right.
Cathy. It was great having you on the podcast.
Well, thank you. It was great to be here.
All right.
I'll
I'll
see you
talk
again
to you.
soon. Thank
Yes, I'll
you.
talk to you again soon. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.